My grandparents, I have one left, and I just see how they live, how they've always lived, how they talk. They don't self-victimize at all. Like they've never been the victims, right? I look at my parents. I look at how my dad lives, my mom lives, and I study them, right? From my childhood to now. They don't victimize themselves. And then I look at me and my siblings. We all share that syndrome. And I'm not blaming this on my parents. I look at my friends, I look at my peers, I look at my generation, I look at TikTok, right? You see it everywhere. There's something about what happened growing up in the 90s, maybe even the 80s, that began to encourage this behavior and raising your kids so they can feel bad for themselves. So it's okay to feel bad for themselves. There's a book called The Coddling of the American Mind. They talk about that in more recent terms of how our culture has just been like coddled, like no one knows how to fend for themselves, take responsibility, because it's like, oh, the government will take care of you, or mom and dad will take care of you, or like, everything's okay, and no one knows how to do anything on their own. And I don't see it in the older generations. I feel like they just owned their shit. They took care of it. I do see them blinded to a lot of stuff too when it comes to psyche and trauma. It's not like I'm trying to just glorify them and demean my generation, but like I just noticed that they didn't have that victimization mentality. And I do enjoy the fact that I get to explore it though. So I'm grateful to have been blessed with the perception to recognize it and to decide, okay, I don't want this for my life. What am I going to do about it? But what's ironic is that as soon as I started exploring that, figuring that out, they say a 2-month integration period after ayahuasca. I had this memory of when I was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 or 9. And I was at Christmas with all my cousins and the whole family, and my grandpa was Santa Claus. And there were all these presents everywhere, and Santa Claus would read, oh, this is for Johnny, this is for you. And I didn't get a present. Like it took like almost to the very end, and there was no present for me. And so I eventually just left. And I was like feeling so sad and so bad for myself. And I didn't want to say anything. I don't know if I didn't want to complain. I wanted to feel bad for myself. I didn't want to be like, what the fuck, dad, mom, like auntie, where's my present? I just left to feel bad for myself, and I like hid under a table. But anyway, I just remember now, like during that last relationship with the Australian, every time I would feel bad for myself because she wasn't fair to me, she wasn't accommodating my feelings, that Christmas would come to mind. And I would use it as a gateway to feel bad for myself, to cry myself to sleep. Now, it's not like I did that all the time, but I did do it. Okay, everyone. Okay, world. I cried myself to sleep, feeling bad for myself because of a Christmas like 20 years, 30 years ago. But my point is that I kept that. Is it trauma? Is it really trauma to say I didn't get a present? I guess emotional. I kept that with me, and I held on to it as a way to feel bad for myself. After those ayahuasca ceremonies, I would notice that trigger, like something happened that wasn't for me, or some woman didn't accommodate me. And I noticed like that neural pathway, like wanting to go down that route, and it just couldn't. It stopped. And I tried to grab it, and I couldn't. Like I could not feel bad for myself. It literally rewired something in my brain where like I just couldn't feel bad for myself anymore. I couldn't pull that. I have that memory now as just a memory. It's not like those memories that bring up trauma and they trigger some emotion. It's no longer that. It's just a memory, and I'm sharing it on a podcast and laughing about it. But like I couldn't feel bad for myself anymore. And then sure enough, like I said, 2 months later, I met my now wife. Within 4 months of meeting her, we were pregnant. And now we're 5 years into having a family together, and life is amazing. So my point with all of it is that I do truly believe that having the opportunity to explore my psyche in that way, this victimization mentality, whether it's a product of me or my parents or my society or who cares, exploring that opened up what was necessary for me to create life, to bring life into the world. I never wanted to be a father. I never wanted a family. I never had any desire for any of that. But now here I am, and I love it.